Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Friday, April 26th, 2024. April 26th. This year's flying by. Every year flies by. Don't forget, live your best life every day. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Today is your daily mortgage rate update. Remember, you can join me live each and every weekday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time on Facebook and YouTube as we talk about what's going on with the mortgage market and mortgage rates. If you're here live, say good morning. If you're watching on the replay, don't forget to push that hashtag replay in the comments. Always appreciate you doing that. Don't forget to smash that like button, tag another friend, share us in the group. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and subscribe, click the thumbs up, notification bell. Make sure you put those comments in there. It all helps with the algorithm stuff. Always appreciate your help. Remember, you can check out originatorssuccess.com, find out how we help you get loans from Google and social media. If you'd like to sign up for a daily text reminder that I'm going live, if you'd like to be reminded and notified that I'm going live, you can sign up for a text using this cool QR code or hmmr.io/reminder. If you'd like to sign up for our text alerts, they're www.raytextalerts.com. We're going to be offering a annual option on them now because a lot of people keep asking me and I've kind of avoided it, but we're going to do it anyway. They don't make a lot of money, but we're going to give a little bit of a discount for the annual just to make it happy. We're going to do $77 a year or $7 a month. Isn't that cool? You like those numbers? I like those numbers. Basically, if you sign up for 11 months, you get that 12th month free. It's a 10% discount that way, which is what I generally like to do on all of those. And yeah, so anyway, also, if you'd like, you can sign up for our written lock advice, www.ratelockadvice.com. Get an email to your inbox each and every weekday morning if you'd like to know what's going on with rates and pricing. So if you're here this morning, say good morning. Let's say hi to the live folks, which is what I like to do. We got Crystal here this morning. Michael, good morning, sir. Great to have both of you here. Thank you for joining me. Who else we got here this morning? We got Kyle and Kenny. What's up, my friends? Hope you all are doing well. What are you guys doing this weekend? Mallory, Ms. Mallory, always here. Thank you, Mallory. Always appreciate seeing you. James, great to have you here as well. What are you guys all doing this weekend? I am going to have kind of a boring weekend. The wife is going on a girls' trip for a week. She leaves tomorrow morning, going to Florida for a week with a bunch of the ladies. So it'll be me and mom here for the week. But I'll be playing some poker as always, doing some honeydew list stuff, lots of honeydew list stuff, probably working on the rock walls. I should show you guys some of the progress I've made outside. I know you guys don't care, but I like sharing it with you anyway. Scott Menser, good morning, sir. Tim Klyla, great to have you here as well, my friend. Always appreciate all of you. So, okay, well, anyway, you guys tell me, what are you doing this weekend? What kind of plans do you have in the weekend? Let me know in the comments. Would love to hear about that. And while you do that, I'm going to show you what's going on this morning. So let's talk about what caused what we've got and then what we've got. So without too much to, what do they call it? Suspense. Rate sheets this morning should be better than yesterday. Bonds are doing well this morning, up about 16 basis points at the moment. As traders breathe a sigh of relief that this morning's PCE inflation data came in at expectations. You can see it in this little fancy chart here that they came in kind of where we were looking for them to come in rather than what happened yesterday. So yesterday, we got the GDP data and the inflation component, which normally is not something we ever have to talk about. The PCE does a quarterly report. That's part of the GDP report. And that one came in much, much higher than expected. 3.7 over 3.3 or 3.4. But it was a big difference and it caught everybody off guard. And that's why we saw yesterday that mortgage-backed securities took a dump, basically. I know that that's not very nice to say, but they took a dump. They really took, you can see it right here, this red candlestick. Oh, you can't see it because it won't let me scroll. Let me make this a little bit and we'll pull the page up. There you go. Okay. So now you can see this red candlestick right here. That was yesterday. It was a bad day. And it basically took what had been a very boring week and it put a negative spin. When we look at what happened with rates and pricing, let's take a look over to Mortgage News Daily and jump over to rates. And then we'll shrink this back down here. So looking at rates, I mean, basically it took us from 7 3/8, pushed us up 7.5, 7.52 being even higher than the 7.50 that we saw. It was the top of the range, which is why I was suggesting to float through it, but it still sucked. This morning, being that we're down, that we're up about 20 basis points, that's going to improve the rate sheets again. So, like it says on the screen here, you'll see better rates than yesterday, although it's not going to be anything huge. Reprice risk on the day is low. The 10-year treasury yield back to 4.66. That's a really good sign. Although we are up 20 basis points on the day, I don't think we have to worry about seeing that kind of lose ground, but you do want to stay aware, just because if we do see mortgage-backed securities lose ground this afternoon, then you will see some lenders very quick to reprice worse. So we'll stay aware on that. But 4.66, very good to see on that 10-year treasury yield as well, because yesterday we were up in the 4.7s. It was ended the day at 4.7. That's the highest that we've seen all year on that 10-year treasury yield. Remember, when the yield goes up, that's bad for rates. We want to see the yield go down. So not really happy to see that. We started Monday at 4.61. So we're ending the week. I doubt we're going to see this continue to get down to 4.61. It looks like we're going to end the week slightly worse than we started it, but not tremendously so. However, taking a look, what were we, 419? 7.44 today should be pretty similar to this. It'll fall off that 7.52 and it'll 7.43, 44, 45, somewhere in here. We're basically flat on the week. So where does that leave us? Well, that leaves us with what we've got going on next week. And next week, we're going to have the data coming in for the labor market. We're going to have the Fed meeting. So anyway, let me just wrap up on this PCE data. The quarterly PCE yesterday had a lot of surprises. Today's monthly PCE basically came in as expected. Overall PCE rose 0.3% and from February and 2.7% for the year. And then the core, which takes out food and energy prices, was also up 0.3% and up 2.8 for the year versus 2.7 that it was expected. So slightly higher than estimated, but not tremendously so. But all of this really points to the same thing. We are not seeing any signs of inflation improving this so far this year. It's actually starting to fall back a little bit, which is going to put the Fed on edge. All the talk of Fed, rate cuts are gone. There is absolutely no reason at all for the Fed to cut rates right now, because we don't have an economy that's falling into the tank. We don't have a labor market that's falling out. Now, I know Ron Siegel will show us, hey, Ron, I am what I am, my man. If I'm nothing, if not just legit, if you will. So yeah, I'm on a roll today. Happy ending for the week. And now the market took a dump. So, let's face it, we call it what it is. Crystal said, what part of Florida? They are going up along the Gulf. So they're going to central time zone. So that's got to be up along the Panhandle up there. Not sure exactly where they're going. I'm a terrible husband. I don't remember. I'll find out and I'll know before she goes. But yeah, they're going out that way, Crystal. Good morning, by the way. Ron Siegel said, happy National Pretzel Day. Who likes pretzels? Pretzels or chips? There's your question of the day. I should probably let me put this on one of the captions here. Let's see. Question of the day. I'm gonna put one here. Question of the day. Pretzels or chips? I got to go with those sourdough pretzels, though, the thick ones. I like those. There's the question of the day for y'all. Let me know. What do you think? Pretzels or chips? You get one snack, you get to choose. You going pretzels or chips? I like a lot of salt on them, but I'm going pretzels. I enjoy pretzels more than chips, but I do like chips. Chips are terrible for you. Pretzels are probably terrible for you too, but I do like pretzels. Yesterday, I stopped by and I had a drink and I had a pretzel, soft pretzels. Those it was like warm, soft pretzels with some cheese. Oh, love that. So yeah, I'm a pretzel guy. I'm going with pretzels. Ron said Trader Joe has the best pretzels. I'll have to remember that. Again, I like those thick sourdough ones, the heavy ones. So anyway, looking at here, my friends, I got to tell you, I am concerned about next week. I think that there's basically no reason to think that rates are going to improve at all next week. We're going to get the Fed meeting on Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday. Yeah. We're going to get the Fed meeting on Wednesday, and it scares me. Markets are definitely in a position. They're barely pricing in one rate cut right now. Look at this. One rate cut and possibly two. That's what the markets are saying right now. We could see this disappear altogether. Now, again, I'm going to repeat what I've said in the past, which is that as long as we don't hear talk of rate hikes, we won't see rates go back to the terrible levels in October. I support that by looking at the mortgage-backed securities. Let's put this on a 6-month chart. This is back here. This is where we were in October. Look here. We were October 27th. They were at 97. Now we're at 99. So we're at 200 basis points right here. And, I'm going to make this full screen and get my head out of the way so you guys can see this. And actually, we'll do the top over thing here. So look at how much lower. And if I put this on 1 year, it's going to switch it to weekly, but it's still that really gets that point across. Look at where we were in October, all the way down here. And then after the Fed pivot, after markets stopped pricing in Fed hikes, started to price in the idea of Fed rate cuts, look at the jump in mortgage-backed securities and how much improvement we saw. Same thing for that 10-year Treasury yield. Look at where we were with the 10-year Treasury yield in October. Look at how it dropped. Now, again, notice how much we've given back that yield, but we were still, you're talking up here, this was 4.83 for that week. And this is a week by week chart right here. And then this week we're at 4.65. So we are getting closer to those October numbers for the 10-year Treasury yield. That's something that should be catching our attention, but we are way, way better on the mortgage-backed securities, which is important to note. And you could really, really visually see that difference here on this chart, how much lower mortgage-backed securities were. If we see talk of hikes, that would push bonds back down there. That would push rates back up into the 8s. As long as there's talk of these rate cuts getting pushed so that, the idea is that we'll still see rate cuts. We just won't see them until close to the end of the year or heading into 25, then that's going to at least kind of keep us going. So that's the closest I can come to some good news for you as far as the lock advice. Anything closing near term, I'm locking. I just don't trust next week to not blow up in our face. We would have to see labor market weakness. We'd have to see the Fed kind of assure traders that they are open to cutting. There's no reason to expect any of this. I think we're going to get you're going to have a lot of questions in the press conference that revolve around inflation creeping higher. And you're going to hear the Fed talk about how they're going to be patient and that'll keep things calm, but they're not going to talk about how they're going to be okay with inflation going higher. So I think it's going to kick our butts and leave it to Scott Menster to come in and shake the entire thing up. Menster said nachos. Nachos are not the same as chips or pretzels. There's a whole plethora of goodness on nachos. You've got melted cheese and hopefully some kind of shredded beef or ground beef. And then you've got jalapenos and salsa and sour cream. Good, not maybe beans. Nachos are not, come on, that's not fair. That's not fair. You got to go with pretzels or chips. And I see we have a pretzel crowd here. So I'm definitely a pretzel guy myself. So, but who's not going to take nachos? But nachos are not an option, Metzer. Stop making your own rules, okay? You got to go with chips or pretzels, my man. So anyway, that's it for a Friday, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. Only 18 people on today. It's such a quiet day. You can tell what a difference in rates, right? Nobody likes what I have to say on this stuff anymore anyway, because I'm not telling you that it's going to get better, because it's not going to get better. Let's see what Ron says from Danielle. So thankfully, revisions have come to my rescue. Payroll data is now squarely in recessionary territory. Inflation is being propelled solely by forces outside the control of the Federal Reserve. Wonder if the Fed will see this. When you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And let's face it, the Fed doesn't have many tools at their disposal. They've got quantitative tightening and they've got the Fed funds rate. You can argue about the payroll data being in recessionary territory, and Danielle is definitely digging deeper, and I could see where she's pulling that. But at the end of the day, it's not enough. It's got to be huge differences. We can't be talking about nuances and digging deep into the data. It's like everything is big Lego blocks. We're not fine tuning here. It's like if we were drawing in pixels, everything is 8 pixel or 16 pixel. we're not drawing with fine 1080 pixel. Okay, so I don't think the Fed's going to see it. You know, yeah. See, Ron said that's like answering the question with steak. Yeah, Ron gets it. So, all right, my friends. Well, based on everything that we've got here, I'm going to go ahead and continue with the same advice. I know that we could argue that next week's data is going to show some recessionary kind of thing if you dig deeper, but I don't think it's enough to turn the tide. We're cautiously floating to keep the options open for loans that have time because we've not yet had to grow concerned. Even when we look at where rates have gone, they only push up and test basically that same level, the 7.5 mark, and then fall back down. We're looking and hoping to see them start to fall back down, although I don't have a lot of hope for it next week. But keeping our options open, I think, is a good idea, and that's kind of where I'm at with it. So that's what you got for me, my friends. I am done for this Friday. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. And as Ron pointed out, eventually the headlines will catch up with the underlying data. But say what you will, my friend, the underlying data, although that we can dig deep and find those things, it's still not weak enough. Bottom line. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap it up, my friends. You guys have a fantastic one, and yeah, happy ending to Hammers Week. Exactly. So, I'll see y'all later. Have a great one. Bye bye.